Perfect. So guys, today we're gonna start off with unit 2. But before we start off with unit 2, I am okay. I hope that you guys are totally fine with unit 1. And one lesson under unit 1, we were talking about types of economies, right? So we have command economy, mixed economy, and we had an economy called what? What was the other economy we had in the types of economies? Okay, based on resource allocation, we have 3 types of economies: command, mixed, and what? Yes, Mariam, you're right. We got command, mixed, and market. So we have an economy called market economy. So we know that in a market economy, generally who owns the resources, government or the public? In a market economy, who owns the resources generally? Generally, it is owned by the public. And we told that, okay, so generally it is a capitalist economy. Even though the resources are owned by the public, they allocate the resources based on the market. We told that in a market economy, all the decisions are taken by the market. Yes, Mariam, you're right. And we also know that in business studies, how do we define market? A market is a place where
buyers and sellers.
Exactly, Durga. A market is a place where buyers and sellers meet. So in a market economy, remember, all the decisions are taken by the buyer and the seller. So in a market economy, remember, all the decisions are taken by the market. That is why we call it the market economy. So again, in a market economy, all the decisions are taken by the market. A market is a place where buyers and sellers meet. So in a market economy, all the decisions are taken by the buyer and the seller. And we also explained it under unit 1. We explained it further. We told that a buyer buys a product. In economics, rather than using the term buy, what do we use?
Demand.
Exactly, Amana. We use the word demand. And in economics, rather than using the word seller, sells, we use the term
Supply.
supply. Perfect. So guys, this is what we are going to study about today, from today onwards. So remember, okay, in a market economy, all the decisions are taken by the market. Suleiman, I'll tell you if notes are need to be taken. Like if you want short notes, you can copy it when I say, but I'll be sending the tutor on the group, okay? So again, in a market economy, all the decisions are taken by the market. A market is a place where buyers and sellers meet. And carrying it forward, in economics, what does a buyer do? A buyer demands and a seller supplies. So in economics, a market is where demand and supply meets. Understood? It is the same thing. A market is where buyers and sellers meet. That is business studies. In economics, rather than use the term buyer and seller, we use the term demand and supply. So throughout this second chapter, we are going to study about something called the market. Now, guys, before we talk about demand and supply individually, just remember the main idea behind the market is, for example, think you're going with your parents to the fish market or vegetable market. You go to buy vegetables or you go to buy fish. So your parents are the buyer and there are sellers in the market. So when your parents go to the market, your parents are the buyer and there are sellers. So do you see fish market is called a market because there are sellers and buyers in the market? And half of the time, guys, will your parents buy the fish or vegetables for the price they ask you to buy for? So if they say one arugula or some fish is like 1,000 rupees per kilo, will your parents buy for that price? Or will there be a bargain?
Their bargain.
Yes, Naso, you're right. So there will be a bargain. So if you go to a market, the main thing that happens is the buyer and the seller meets and they try to agree on a price, no? And once they agree
Yes,
on
sir.
a price, they will buy the fish or the vegetable. So what happens in a market is buyer meets the seller. Meaning demand meets what? In economics, demand meets supply. And think of the real scenario. If you go to the market, what happens in the market is you don't buy. Okay, for example, they would say, okay, 1 kilo of fish is 1,000 rupees. Then your parents would argue, no, give it for me for like 600 rupees. Then they'll be like, no, I can't give it for 600. So ultimately, both your parents and the seller will come to a common price like 800 or 900. No. So what happens is when demand and supply meets, they will end up with a particular price and a quantity. For example, the seller will tell 1,000 rupees and your parents will tell, no, 1,000 is too much, give us for 600. And ultimately, both of them will agree for somewhere around 900. And once they agree for 900, so your parents will say, okay, I agree with 900. And at 900, give me 3 kilos. So basically what happens in a market again is a place where buyers and sellers meet. In economics, it's a place where demand and supply meets. And think what happens in the market. When you go to the market, you identify a price for the product. And after you identify the price, you buy a certain amount, no? So when the price is 900 rupees, you might, some people might buy 500 grams. Some people might buy 1 kilo. Some people might buy 2 kilos. Some people might buy 5 kilo. So once you agree on a price, the next thing that you do is you agree on a quantity. Understood? So remember in this unit 2, our objective is to study about the market. And ultimately what is done in the market is we identify a price for the product and we identify a quantity to be traded. Understood? Again, a market is a place where buyers and sellers meet. It is a place where demand and supply meets. What happens in the market is when demand and supply and the buyer and the seller meets, they will first agree on a price. Okay, price is ready. Give me at a lower price. So you will agree on a price. And after you agree on a price, you will agree on a quantity. So the two things that happens in a market are we agree on a price and we agree on what?
Quantity.
Quantity. Are we okay? Are we good with it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So guys, this is the starting. So in order to identify what price we agree on, and in order to identify what quantity we agree on, we need to study about demand and supply individually. So let us start off with demand first. Okay. So again, in simple terms, who demands, the buyer or the seller?
Buyer.
The buyer.
Buyer who demands. So now I'm going to teach about demand. So before we go to demand, again, a market is a place where buyers and sellers meet. In economics, it is a place where demand and supply meets. Think what happens in a market. If you go to a market, if you want to buy a fish or if you want to buy vegetables, the two things that happens in a market are we agree on a price, we settle with a price, and after that we settle with a quantity. So let us see what this demand basically means. Okay. Now guys, before we study about demand, remember whenever I refer to the term demand, we will be referring to something called effective demand. Okay, so whenever I'm going to talk about demand in future, I'll be referring to demand as effective demand. So I won't be using the term effective demand. I'll be using the term demand. The meaning of demand is something called effective demand. Now guys, in unit 1, the very first day what we studied was, we told people have unlimited what? People have unlimited
Wants.
unlimited wants. For example, every time people see something, they want it. Okay, you see a branded cloth, you want it. You see a brand new phone, you want it. You see a brand new vehicle, you want it. Okay, you see a good-looking food, you want it. You see a good-looking person, you want it. So we say people have unlimited wants. Wants basically means you like something. For example, if I say I want the clothes, okay, the reason I say I want the clothes is because wait, Sharfa, do you mind so guys, the reason I say I want something is because I like something. The reason I want the car is because like the car. The reason I want the book is I like the book. The reason I want the phone is because I like the phone. The reason I want that person is I like that person. Understood? So you want something whenever you like something. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Anyone who did not understand this? Okay, hold on. Okay. So we say people have unlimited wants. And you want something because you like it. Meaning you're willing to have it. For example, if I say I want the iPhone 13, it means I'm willing to have the iPhone 13. If I say I want the Ferrari car, it means I'm willing to have it. If I say I want the PlayStation 5, it means I'm willing to have it. So if you want something, the meaning of a want is you like it and you're willing to have it. Understood? And people have unlimited wants. Now my question is, like almost all of us would want an iPhone 13, but do all of us have it?
No, sir.
Like almost all of us would want to have a Levi's jeans, but do all of us have it?
No, sir.
Like almost all the boys would love to have a PlayStation 5, but do all of them have it?
No, sir.
And so basically we say wants are unlimited, like everyone wants it, but do they have it?
No, sir.
Because in order for you to have something, what do you require?
Purchasing power.
You require purchasing power or money, no? So we say people have unlimited wants. However, in order to buy it, you need money or the purchasing power. Meaning you need the ability. So I want the iPhone 13. The moment I say I want the iPhone 13, I like it and I'm willing to have it. Just because I want it, does it mean I will get it?
No, sir.
In order for me to get the iPhone 13, I need some money, no? Meaning I need I need to have the purchasing power, which we call as the ability. In economics, demand or effective demand is where you have the willingness as well as the ability to buy a product. For example, let's say I like the iPhone, let's say I like the iPhone 13. If I like the iPhone 13, am I willing to have it?
Yes, sir.
So willingness is there. Let's say I have only 10,000 rupees with me. Then do I have the ability to buy it?
No, sir.
No ability. So I say just because I like the phone and if I don't have the money, there is no demand. For there to be demand, let's say, okay, now let's say I have rupees 500,000 with me. Now I have the willingness. Now do I have the ability? I do have the ability. So if I like the iPhone and if I have the money, then only there is demand. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So on the other hand, so let's say, okay, Ashfa likes let's say Ashfa likes the Levi's jeans. The meaning of Ashfa liking the Levi's jeans is she has the willingness to buy it. But if I say Ashfa is demanding the Levi's jeans, if I say Ashfa is demanding it, it means Ashfa is willing to have the Levi's jeans. And not only that, she also has the ability, she also has the money to buy the Levi's jeans. Understood? So demand is not just liking the product. Demand means you like it as well as you have the money to buy it. Understood? You have the willingness and the ability. Just because you like a product, it means you want it. The want will become a demand only if you have the money. Understood? Yes, Mariam. So if you, again, if I say, I want the PlayStation 5, the meaning of I want the PlayStation 5 is I like it and I'm willing to have it. So that is just the want. Want means you are willing to have it. But in order to buy the PlayStation 5, what do you require? Money, right? So if I have the 200,000 money with me, then I say I have the willingness as well as the ability. So only if willingness and ability both are there, there is demand. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Anyone who did not understand? So again, let's go with an example like this. Okay, let's say one iPhone. Okay, let's say one iPhone 13 is rupees 150,000. So basically, for there to be a demand for iPhone 13, what is the price of iPhone 13? 150,000. If I say, okay, I am demanding iPhone 13, it means I should have the willingness to buy it. Willingness means I should like to buy it. Okay. But only having the willingness, is it demand?
No, sir.
For there to be demand, I know this iPhone 13 is how much?
150,000.
150,000. It means I also should have the ability. I also should have 150,000 with me. So now if I say I have the money with me, let's say I have 150,000 with me. And let's say I like the iPhone 13. Then there's willingness as well as the ability. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Anyone who did not understand? So simply demand means the willingness and ability to buy a product at a particular price. So if the price is 150,000, there will be demand only if I have the willingness and if I have 150,000 with me. Let's say price becomes 200,000. Let's say price becomes 200,000. Then if I still have 150,000, can I demand? Let's say phone becomes 200,000. And let's say I still have 150,000 with me. Then can there be demand?
No, sir.
No,
Because
sir.
if the phone is 200,000, how much of money should I have?
200,000.
200,000. If the phone is 500,000, how much of money should I have?
100,000.
500,000. So simply demand means the willingness and ability to buy a product at a particular price. So if the price is 150,000, my ability should be 150,000. If the price is 200,000, my ability should be 200,000. So just because price goes up to 200,000, and if I still have 150,000, let's say I still have 150,000, then there is no demand. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Anyone who did not understand this? Okay, cool. So let us look at it one by one, and we'll study this entirely in a while. Okay, so demand, a market is where buyers and sellers meet. A buyer demands, a seller supplies. And what do we do in a market? What do your parents go and do in a market? They end up in a
Right.
exactly. They bargain for a price, and after they bargain for a price, they bargain for a they settle with a quantity. Yes. So what happens in a market is demand and supply will meet. They will set a price and they will set a quantity. Let's leave this later. Okay, demand and effective demand. Amanda, can you read this slowly, this entirely?
Yes, sir. We explain demand using the item effective demand. This is the willingness and ability to buy a good or service at a given price in a given period of time. When other factor remains constant, The demand will be effective only if the consumer has the ability to pay the price. Example, you may like to own an iPhone, which is a want. There is a demand only if you have the required budget available to purchase the phone. Demand refers to the quantities of a good or service that a consumer is willing and able to buy at various prices over a period of time. Demand explains the relationship between the price and quantity demanded with the following assumptions. Consumers are rational. Ceteris paribus, the other factors being held constant except price, demand curve of a normal good, downward sloping demand curve, price and quantity at a certain time period.
Thank you, Amana.
I didn't say that. I don't know what's ceteris.
No, but you pronounced it correctly, the shape. So that's why I'm
Okay.
liking it. Good stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so guys, demand and effective demand. So again, remember, demand is the role played by the buyer or the seller. It's the role played by the buyer. And again, if you like a product, it is just a want. For example, if I like the iPhone, it is just a want, I want it. If I like a computer, it's just a want, I want it. If I like a person, it's just a want, I want her. The want will become a demand only if you have the money as well to buy it. If I know the computer is 300,000, that means there will be a demand only if I have 300,000 with me, understood? Just because I'm liking a product doesn't mean there is demand. For there to be demand, you should have the money, you should like it as well as you should have the money, meaning there should be willingness as well as ability to buy a product. In order to study about demand, guys, there are certain assumptions. We'll be looking at it one by one. Right now, you might not understand it entirely, but when we study it one by one, when we are gonna go through demand entirely, you might understand it perfectly. First assumption is consumers are rational. Just remember, guys, rational means consumers are logical, meaning they will do anything that makes them happy. We did that in unit 1 also. Yeah, Mariam. So basically, consumers are rational includes that. Consumers are rational includes they're planning to buy the product. So, guys, first assumption is when we want to study about demand, and the best part is, guys, you don't have to remember these assumptions. That is the best part. It's just for theory purpose. In your exams, these assumptions are not required. So we say demand is the willingness and ability to buy a product. So basically, you will demand a product only if you are willing to buy it. No. For example, let us say you have the money, and let us say you're not a smoker. Let's say you don't smoke cigarette. So can I say just because you have the money, you will demand cigarette? No, right?
No.
For you to demand cigarette, you should like cigarette also, no? So consumers are rational means consumers will demand only if they like the product. They won't just because you have the money, you don't go and demand everything. You demand only if you have the willingness and ability, meaning you should have the money as well as you should like the product. So consumers are rational means consumers will demand only if they like the product. Understood? Just because I have the money doesn't mean I go and buy cigarettes. Just because I have money doesn't mean I go and buy a Samsung.
No,
Just
sir.
because I have money, I don't go and buy a MacBook. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Consumers are rational. Yes. So consumers are rational means you will demand only if you're satisfied with the product. Okay. Second one is something called ceteris paribus. Other factors being held constant except price. Okay, this is what we are going to study in a while, guys. Now, think like this. Demand is the willingness and ability to buy a product. Throughout this chapter, what we are going to study about is relationship between the price of a product and the quantity you're going to buy. Now guys, just think of a product like Milo. Okay, let's go with Milo. Okay. Let's say currently the price is 70. Maybe you are ready to buy like 5 units. Let's say price is going to become 90. My question from you all is, if the price increases, will you be willing to buy more or less?
More, sir.
So when the price becomes higher, you are ready to buy more.
Yes.
You are ready to buy less, yeah. Maybe you are ready to buy 3 units. Because if you are a customer, when do you like to buy more? When the price is higher or lower?
Lower, sir.
Lower.
Price is lower. Perfect. So remember, throughout this particular next few slides, what we're going to study about is the relationship between the price of a product and how many units you will buy. If we take Milo at a price of 70, if you're buying 5 units, and if they are going to increase the price to 90, generally when the price of Milo goes up, think of your perspective. Will you be ready to buy more or less? When the product becomes expensive, you would like to buy
Less.
Less.
less. When
Less.
price goes up, quantity will fall. At the same time, let's say price becomes lower. Let's say price becomes 40. If it becomes cheaper, you'll be willing to buy? Just hold on.
More.
More.
Guys, hold on. There's a chat here. Okay, sorry guys, I'm back. So generally, if the price becomes cheaper from 90 to 40, will you be willing to buy more or less? You're right, Mariam. You're willing to buy
More.
more. So quantity might become like 8 units. So human nature is such that if you're a customer, you are ready to buy more when the price is lower. So throughout this unit, we will be studying about the relationship between the price of the product and the quantity you are ready to buy. But in reality, guys, there are many factors that will affect how many units you are going to buy. For example, okay, we are talking about Milo. No? Let's say currently you are earning an income of rupees 20,000. And let's say you are going to earn 30,000. So let's say when you start earning more, will you be able to buy more or less?
Buy
More.
more.
You'll be able to buy more. So do you see income will affect the quantity you are going to buy?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And at the same time, let's say, okay, currently they're having an advertisement with Angela Matthews, and let's say, okay, they're going to bring Virat Kohli and everyone and going to do an advertisement. So if the advertisements are really good, will you be willing to buy more or less?
More.
More.
You're willing to buy more. And let's say, okay, our president comes up with Milo in his hand and he says Milo has too much of sugar, don't have it. And if they say Milo is very bad for health, will you be willing to buy more or less?
Buy
Less.
less.
Buy less. Suleiman, you're right. Even things like substitute, I'll be explaining later. So do you see there are many factors that will affect how many Milo you're going to buy? Like even if your income changes, you will, if your income rises, you will buy more Milo. If the advertisement is good, you will buy more Milo. If they say Milo is very unhealthy, you will buy less Milo. So there are many factors that affects the quantity you're going to buy, no?
Yes, sir.
What you have to remember is that assumption that Amana tried to read, she told ceteris paribus. The meaning of ceteris paribus is, when I'm going to study the relationship between price and quantity, I will be changing only the price. For example, I'll assume my income is rupees 10,000. I'll say my income is rupees 10,000. And when I'm going to look at the relation between price and quantity, I will see, okay, price is 70, I will buy 5. Price is 90, I will buy 3. Price is 40, I will buy 8. The only thing I will be changing is the price. I'll be changing the price from 70 to 90. I'll be changing the price from 90 to 40. I'll be changing the price from 40 to 50. The only thing that I will be changing is the price of the product. I will be assuming my income will be remaining at 10,000. I will be assuming they are not going to do any advertisement. They're still going to do only the Angela Matthews advertisement. The meaning of ceteris paribus again is, in this chapter, we are going to study about the relation between price and quantity. So the only thing that I will be changing is the price. In reality, is price the only factor that will make you buy more or less of a product? Is
No,
price
sir.
the only factor? No, right? Even your income will affect, even advertisement will affect. There are many factors that will affect. No. We will be assuming the other factors will not change. For example, if I consider my income is 10,000, throughout, I will assume my income is 10,000. If I assume the advertisement is Angela Matthews advertisement, throughout, I will be assuming that we are going to use the same advertisement. Understood?
Yes,
So that
sir.
is an assumption.
Yes, sir.
But in reality, in reality, your income can change. In reality, advertisements can change. But we assume those things do not change. The only thing that will change is the price of the product. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So again, when do you buy more? If the price is high or lower?
Lower.
Price is low.
Lower.
And the other assumption is demand is, when we are going to study, we'll be studying about a product called a normal good. Okay, I'll tell you what normal good is later. Okay, so we'll be assuming the product. For example, if I'm going to draw that, if I'm going to study about the demand for Milo, I'll be assuming Milo is a good called a normal good. If I'm going to study about iPhone, I'll be assuming iPhone is a normal good. If I'm going to study about MacBook, I'll be assuming MacBook is a normal good. If I'm going to study about Levi's, I'll be assuming Levi's is a normal good. In simple terms, remember, normal goods are the goods where when price goes up, when products become expensive, will you buy more or less?
Less.
You'll buy less. And when the product becomes cheaper, you'll buy
More.
more. So this is the condition for a normal good. Understood?
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you why we are going to study about normal good, because that is the general case. Now, now, for example, we know Rolex, right? We know brands like Rolex, no? Is it cheap or expensive?
Expensive.
Expensive. And you all know why people buy Rolex, right? People buy Rolex to show off, right? Like people buy Rolex to show that I have a Rolex and you don't have a Rolex, no? Same thing with cars like Benz, no? Like if you see someone buying a Benz, the reason why someone buys a Benz is not because Benz is cheaper, but because Benz is
Expensive.
expensive, to show that I have a Benz and they don't have a Benz. So basically, when it comes to products like Rolex, the reason why people buy Rolex is because is it expensive or cheaper?
Expensive.
It is expensive. So for products like Rolex, generally when the price goes up, only people will buy more. Understood?
Yes, sir.
But in this chapter, we will not be looking at products like Rolex. We'll be just looking at normal good. Because normally, when the price goes up, you will buy
Less.
less. So that is what we are going to study about normal good. Okay? Any doubts?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Are we good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we are going to move on to the next part, individual and market demand. Are you all tired? Say that you are.
Yes, sir. I am.
Okay, we'll start in a couple of minutes. I'll give the main break in 15 minutes. Huh? So how's school, guys? How's going back to school?
It's not even started, sir.
Yeah, sir. We didn't.
Started, huh?
It's good, sir.
For some, I guess they go, but for us, we didn't start it.
Yeah.
I think you guys are back to school. What shape? Is it like raining heavily in your area or is it in Candy side?
Not today, sir.
Hey, but Amana, like certain parts of Akunan also gets flooded quick, no?
Yeah, very quick.
So you can go swimming.
Within less than an hour, it gets flooded, sir. The entire town
So
gets
you guys
flooded.
can try, but it's very risky also. What I'm really scared about is flood. There are these water snakes. One of my cousin got bit by a snake once. And they're poisonous. I hope everyone's safe. And yeah, I'll be around. I'll be in Kandy tomorrow and day after. Okay. So guys, let's get back to this and let's go for the main break at 5:55 when the Azan calls. Yeah. So next thing that we are going to study about is something called individual demand and market demand. These are, guys, don't think this is tough. Huh? This is really easy. Again, demand is the willingness and ability to buy a product. If I like a product, it is just willing to have it. You just want it. When will a want become a demand?
You have the ability to buy it.
If you have the ability to buy it. Meaning, if the product is 50,000, the want will become a demand only if you have 50,000 in hand. If the product is 500 rupees, the want will become a demand only if you have 500 rupees in hand. Understood? And how many times in school, guys, you would have gone in front of the canteen, seen the rolls of pizza, and you would have thought, okay, you want it, but you would have come without having it, no? You would have seen that pizza, you would have seen that rolls, but you would be like, okay, you would be thinking of all the nostalgic moments, but you will come out without a this thing, without a rolls. The reason is you did not have the ability. But on the other hand, if you had the money to buy it, you could have demanded the rolls, no? Like if you had the 50 rupees or 100 rupees with you, then you can like the rolls and you can buy the rolls also. So basically demand means you will basically end up buying the product. Understood? Zikra, it is not inferior good. I explain it. It is called demonstrative good. Okay. It is called demonstrative. So I'm not going to explain it much. I will keep it. It's in the last bit. It's called demonstrative good, Zikra. Okay. So guys, demand is the willingness and ability to buy a product. When we are going to study about demand, guys, there are two concepts. One is called individual demand. The other one is called market demand. Let's say we are going to talk about the same Milo. Okay. Let's say price of a Milo is rupees 70. Okay. Now, guys, when Nestle makes Milo, are they planning to sell Milo for one person or many people? When Nestle makes Milo,
Many.
they are planning to sell to many people. No, for example, let's say we have like 4 people. Let's say we got Nuski, Ashfa, Fatima is a common name for everyone, and let's say Durga. Okay, so let's say Nestle is planning to sell Milo for 4 people. So basically, in the market, how many customers are there? In the market, how many customers are there?
A lot.
A lot. In this particular market, how many are there?
4.
4. Market demand means we consider all the 4. But you have to know there are 4 individuals. No. For example, at a price of 70, Nuski might be ready to buy 3 Milo. Ashwa might be ready to buy 10 Milo. Fatima might be ready to buy like maybe 2 Milo. And Durga might not be a fan of Milo at all, because guys, demand is not just the it's not just the ability, no. Demand means willingness and ability, no. Like if you don't like the Milo, will you buy a lot of Milo?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, Durga has the ability, but let's say Durga doesn't like Milo. Let's say Durga buys only 1 Milo. So we say, guys, in this market for Milo, we have 4 individuals. So at the price of 70, Nuski's individual demand is 3 Milo, meaning Nuski is willing and able to buy 3. Ashfa's individual demand is 10 Milo, meaning Ashfa is willing and able to buy 10. Fatima's demand is 2 Milo, meaning Fatima is willing and able to buy 2. And Durga's demand is 1 Milo. Durga is willing and able to buy 1. Individual demand means we look at the willingness and ability of one person at a time, meaning Nuski is willing to buy 3. That is Nuski's individual demand. Ashfa is willing to buy 10. Ashfa's individual demand. Fatima and Durga are willing to buy 2 and 1 respectively. So that is their individual demand. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So individual demand means willingness and ability to buy by how many people?
Each.
1 person. But we know that ultimately at a price of 70, Nuski buys 3, Ashfa buys 10, Fatima buys 2, Durga buys 1. So totally how many units will be bought?
16.
16. 16 Milos. This is called the market demand. So market demand means willingness and ability to buy by everyone in the market. So again, market demand is the addition of every individual demand. No? So I know in the market there are 4 individuals. So I know Nuski will buy, Ashfa will buy, Fatima will buy, Durga will buy. So only after all 4 buys, there will be a market demand. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So market demand is the addition of all the individual demand. So again, individual demand is the willingness and ability to buy by one person. And in a market, generally, do we have only one person?
No, sir.
No, there are many people. So if I want to convert individual demand to market demand, what I have to see is I have to add everyone's demand individually. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So Nuski will buy 3, Ashfa will buy 10, 2, 1. When I add all, I know at a price of 70, ultimately 16 Milos will be bought in the market. Now, let's say, okay, let's take a branded, let's take a quality car. Okay, let's say Viga car. Okay, let's say the brand new Vigas or some car that was made in Sri Lanka. Let's say the car is so expensive that in the market, there's only one person who can buy it. Okay, let's say only Mariam Nawaz, only she has the ability to buy it. Because guys, again, demand means not the willingness. Like everyone would want the car, but is that demand? You should want it and you should have the ability. Let's say Mariam is the only one who has the willingness and ability. So in this market, there is one individual. Let's say Mariam is ready to buy 2 cars. So what is the individual demand of Mariam at a price at this particular price of maybe 1 billion rupees? Individual demand of Mariam is
2.
2.
And in the market, how many individuals do we have?
1.
Only 1. No. That means, do you see, even the market demand also will be 2.
Yes, sir.
Individual demand is also 2. The market demand is also 2. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So, our main objective is to get the market demand. Market demand is the objective. The reason why we study individual demand is only if we get the individual demand, we can add it to the market demand. No? Because we are going to, okay, again, what did we study about in this chapter? We are studying about the market. A market is where all the buyers and all the sellers meet. It is not where one buyer and one seller meet, no. So our objective is demand. It is the market demand. But we have to know, in order to study about the market demand, we also should know about individual demand. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So individual demand means willingness and ability to buy by one person. And if there are 4 people, we have to add everyone's individual demand. When we add everyone's individual demand, we end up getting what demand?
Market
Market.
demand.
Market demand. Okay. So for example, okay, we can just read it. Individual demand. This is the, guys, I'll give a break in another 3 minutes. Huh? This is the relationship between quantity demanded of a good or service by a single person at different prices of that good or service. Example, the table, okay, I've given an example. Now let's say I've given the price in dollar. Let's say price goes up from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In reality, guys, when the price keeps on going up from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, when the price increases, every time price goes up, will you be willing to buy more or less?
Less.
You'll be willing to buy less. So that's an example. So at a price of 1, maybe, okay, maybe this is Nuski. At a price of 1, Nuski was willing to buy 20. So individual demand of Nuski is 20. At a price of 2, Nuski is willing to buy
14.
14. Because price has gone up. When it becomes expensive, he would be willing to buy less. And now the price has become 3. So think, guys, when the price goes up, will Nuski be willing to buy more or less?
Yes.
Yes, now he's
Yes.
willing to buy 10. When the price becomes 4, he might be willing to buy 6. When the price becomes 5, he might be willing to buy 3. And then market demand. So guys, now I put 4 people. So in the market, we have 4 individuals. Now, for example, at a price of 1, person A wants to buy 20, meaning that is his individual demand. Person B wants to buy 15. At a price of 3, person D wants to buy 7. Person C wants to buy 32. So whenever I look at one person, that is the individual demand. Understood?
Yes. Yes.
So this is person A's individual demand. This is person B's individual demand. This is person C's individual demand. This person D's individual demand. How do I get the market demand? By adding
All the individual demand.
all the individual demand. For example, at a price of 1, A will buy 20, B will demand 15, C will demand 50, D will demand 10. So ultimately, how many will be demanded?
95.
95.
95. So you can just put it for everyone, everything. At a price of 2, A will demand 14, meaning that is A's individual demand. B's individual demand is 12. C's individual demand is 45. D wants to buy 8. So ultimately,
79.
79.
79. At a price of 3, A 10, B 9, 32, 7. So how much is it? $58.
88.
58. At a price of 4, 6, 3, 15, 20, 16, 15, 6,
30.
30. Perfect. And then at a price of 5, 3, 1, 10, 4,
18.
18.
So it is clear, no? The price is going up from 1 to 5. What is happening to the quantity?
Falling.
Falling, because we know that when the product becomes expensive, people will be willing and able to buy more or less.
Less.
People will
Less.
be willing and able to buy less. Understood or confused?
Understood.
Understood, sir.
Understood, sir.
That's great. Huh? So again, before we go to the break, huh? When we study demand, there's individual demand and market demand. Individual demand means how many units one person is willing and able to buy. But in a market, we don't have one person. In this example, how many people are there?
4.
5.
ABCD is, yeah, there are 4 people. So market
4.
demand means we have to add everyone's individual demand. For example, at a price of 2, A will demand 14. So when I look at A, is it individual or market? When I look at only A,
It is individual.
Individual.
B is individual is 12. C will individually demand 45. D will individually demand 8. So when with the individual demand this much of numbers, Ultimately, at a price of 2, what's the total demand?
79.
79. So that is called the market demand. Okay. Nuski, can you read this bit before we go to the break? Nuski.
Yes, sir. Market demand. Market demand is the aggregation of individual demand. This is the total demand for a good or a service. It is found by adding the quantities demanded by each individual buyer at each price. This is the horizontal summation of all the individual demand curves. If there are 4 people in the market for the given product, market demand would be.
Yeah, so that is what we have done. Okay, thank you guys. It's 5:55. Let's start at 6:05 sharp. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Get refreshed and get back. So a quick recap before we continue. Again, guys, a market is a place where buyers and sellers meet. And in economics, what does a buyer do? A buyer
Demands.
demands and a seller
Supply.
supplies. Yeah. And think of your parents going to the market. What do? Like when they go to the market, let's say they go to the fish market, they bargain for a
Price.
price and then they identify a
Quantity.
So the two things that happens in a market are they set a price and they set a
Quantity.
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 First, we looked at demand. If I want a product, I like it. I want the car, I like it. Is want the same as demand? Is want the same as demand?
No, sir.
No. When will want become a demand?
When you have the ability to buy it.
When you have the ability to buy it. So when we talk about demand, we talk about effective demand. So effective demand means you have the willingness, you like the product, but not only that, you also have the ability to buy the product. So only if there's willingness and ability to buy the product, there's demand. And there were certain assumptions. So we told consumers are rational. Those assumptions are not really needed. And ceteris paribus, that means all other things are held constant. Because when we are studying in this particular unit, we'll be looking at the relationship between the price and quantity. Generally, when the prices go up, when the products become expensive, will you be willing and able to buy more or less?
Less.
And when the product becomes cheaper, when the price falls, you'll be willing and able to buy
More.
So when you're talking about demand, we'll be looking at the relationship between price and the quantity of the product. But in reality, you will buy different quantity based on many other factors. Like for example, even when your income goes up, you will buy more. If the advertisement is good, you will buy more. If the taste and fashion move towards Milo from Nesta Malt, you will buy more. So based on trend, you will buy more. There are many factors that will affect the demand. But to make things easy, we assume the only factor that affects the quantity right now is the price. Okay. So we got individual demand and market demand. So individual demand is the willingness and ability to buy a product by how many people? Individual demand is by how many person?
One person.
One. In order to convert individual demand to market demand, I have to add all the individual demand. For example, if there are 5 individuals, I have to see the quantity bought by person A, person B, person C, person D, and person E. By adding all the 5 individual demand only, I end up getting the market demand. Okay. Okay. Now, guys, again, when we are talking about demand, we were looking at the we are going to look at the relationship between what and what? Quantity and what?
Price.
Quantity and price. Because we assumed all of the things are assumed to be constant, we are going to change only the price and we are going to see the quantity. The relationship between price and quantity could be depicted or could be shown using 3 approaches. First approach is called the demand schedule. Second one is called demand curve. So these two are the ones that we're going to do today. And the last one is called demand equation. This is an example of how a demand equation looks like. This we'll be looking at it at last. So you don't have to remember this now, demand equation. So again, we're going to look at the relationship between price and quantity. We can show the relationship between price and quantity using three methods. The first one is a demand schedule. Second one is a demand curve. Third one is a demand equation. Don't worry about demand equation now. We are going to do it at last, like maybe after a month, we are going to do that. So let's look at what demand schedule and demand curve are. Okay. Guys, I'll tell you what demand schedule is. You see this table, right? This table has price of the product and what? The
Quantities.
quantity. So this table has price and quantity. So do you see this table is showing the relationship between different price and different quantity? So
Yes,
in
sir.
this table, I know price is 1, the relationship is a quantity of 20. Price is 2, the quantity is 14. The price is 3, the quantity is 10. So do you see this table is showing you the relationship between the price of a product, meaning the price of Milo and the quantity of Milo? This table is called the demand schedule. Simple as that. Even this thing is a table, like, okay, there are different prices and there are different quantity. The table that shows the relationship between the price and the quantity is called a demand schedule. The easiest way to show is a demand schedule, understood? So again, when we're studying about demand, we're going to look at the relationship between quantity and what?
Price.
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 I'm going to look at the relationship using a table. I'm going to put the prices and I'm going to put the quantity. That is called the demand schedule, understood?
Yes.
For example, okay, maybe rather than asking you all, I'll just answer for myself. Okay, let's say at a price, okay, if the price of an ice cream is ₹10, I might be willing to buy 20 ice cream. If the price is 15, I might be willing to buy just 13 ice cream. When the price is 20, when the price increases, will I be willing to buy more or less?
Less.
Yes, maybe I'm willing to buy 7 ice cream. So do you see this particular table shows the relationship between different price and different quantity?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The table is called a demand schedule. Understood?
Understood, sir.
Yes.
The same table can be shown in terms of a graph. Very important thing to remember is when we draw the graph, the two things that we're going to look at is the price and the quantity. No, we always put the price on the y-axis, quantity on the x-axis. Now I know when the price is 10, how many quantity will I buy?
20.
20. So hold on, I'll put 10 below because. So I know when the price is 10, I will buy 20. And when the price is 15, I will buy
13.
13. It's somewhere lower, no? So somewhere here. When the price is 20, I will buy
7.
7. It's somewhere lower. So do you see I can put this information on a graph
Yes, sir.
and connect the point? This is called a demand curve. Okay. So the difference between demand schedule and a demand curve is demand schedule means we are going to show everything on a table. And if I'm going to convert the table to a graph, we get the demand curve. Very important thing to remember about the demand curve is we put price on the y-axis and the quantity on the
Exactly.
x-axis. If you put quantity up and price down, you are wrong. Okay.
Yes.
So we put always the price on the y-axis and the quantity on the x-axis. Okay. So demand schedule and demand curve. Zikra, can you read this entire bit?
Yes, sir. Demand schedule. This is a table giving the quantities demanded at a range of prices. This shows the willingness and ability to purchase per time period at different prices of goods and services. Demand curve. This is a graphical representation of the demand schedule, which shows the prices and quantities demanded at each price. This is a downward sloping curve, which shows the inverse or negative relationship between the price and quantity demanded of a given good or a service. The demand curve can be drawn with plotting the prices on the vertical axis and quantity demanded on horizontal axis.
Thank you, Zikra. So we got demand schedule. Demand schedule is the table. We put price and the quantity. Demand curve is putting this table in terms of a graph. Very important thing to remember is when you're going to put it into a graph, what do we put on the y-axis?
Price.
The price of the product, maybe in terms of dollar or rupees. And the x-axis, we put the quantity. Okay. So demand curve is a graphical representation. And it is always downward sloping. Because guys, again, we know that when the price goes up, when the product becomes expensive, will you buy more or less? When product becomes expensive, you'll buy
Less.
less. And when product becomes cheaper, you will demand more. So price and quantity demanded, do they work in the same direction or opposite direction?
Opposite direction.
Opposite direction. So we say price and quantity demanded, they have a negative relationship. Understood?
Yes, sir.
It's simple, huh? Because when the product is cheaper, when the price falls only, people will buy more. When price falls, quantity goes up. So when you're going to draw the graph, it will be downward sloping. Now, if I'm going to plot it at a price of 1, what's the market demand? 95. So if I'm going to do it one by one, at a price of 1, quantity will be 95. At a price of 2, quantity will be 79. So maybe 79 is somewhere here. At a price of 3, the quantity will be
58.
58. Maybe 58 is somewhere here. At a price of 4, how much was it, guys?
30.
30. And at the price of 5?
18.
18. So by connecting these points, I get the demand curve. So I'm going to connect all these points like this. So here it's not a straight line, huh? It's not a straight line, it is a curve. So demand can either be a curve or it can be a straight line, doesn't matter. Okay. So demand curves can be linear or non-linear, meaning it can be a straight line or it can be a curve. So here, is it a straight line?
No, sir.
No. But what you have to know is whether it is a straight line or whether it is a curve, it is downward sloping. Because when price falls, quantity will rise. So price and quantity, they work opposite. Therefore, the curve is always downward sloping. Okay. It shows a negative relationship. Downward sloping, it shows a negative relationship. Yes, Nuski. So this is called the law of demand. So law of demand tells the price and quantity demanded, do they have a positive relationship or negative relationship?
Negative.
Negative relationship. So this is called the law of demand. Law of demand we'll be studying later, but in simple terms, remember the law says the price and quantity demanded have a negative relationship. This means the consumers will buy more. Consumers are willing and able to buy more when the price is
Low.
lower. Okay, cool. Hold on. So guys, are we okay now for now?
Yes, sir.
Right. Thank you, Lukman. Okay, hold on. How many of you have supported Australia in the finals? I know Nuski did. What about the others?
நியூசிலாந்து தான் என்ன செய்ய விதி.
Someone is really hurt. Girls, you all watch cricket, no? Or you all are just fans of BTS? That's it.
No, sir.
Only
we watch.
BTS here. No one is fan of cricket.
No one is fan.
No,
of
sir,
cricket.
we watched.
Who played well in finals? Pakistan or India? Amana.
No, I supported
இந்தியா ஃபைனல்ஸ் வரவே இல்ல.
I think this is called give and take policy.
No,
Vote-
sir.
vote
Even
வாங்க.
you haven't watched.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
watched.
I couldn't watch because I didn't want to see my team losing, so I preferred not to watch it instead. Yes, Chatisha, cricket is way better than
நஃபீஸ் சார் யார் எந்த டீமுக்கு சப்போர்ட்?
New Zealand only, definitely.
Yeah, I supported New Zealand from beginning, sir.
Why did you support
so-
Amana? Why did you support? That's the case.
It was so sad. I didn't.
Always lose in the finals. So.
They preferred to lose than to get support from you all, I think.
No sir, thing is
No,
both
they
teams
came
played well,
long.
but Australia were better.
Yeah, like every
They
show.
time, New Zealand, every time they choke up in the finals, very unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, New Zealand is the favorite because the captain is enough, no?
Very decent, sir.
Like us.
Yeah, very.
நீங்க டீசன்ட்டா சார்?
Thank you. Anyways, yeah. Mariam, will secret stuff, sir. Okay, cool.
Yeah, sir. That's my private message.
So, but even I've told, right, if you guys are, even whether you guys are girls or boys, doesn't matter. If you all are into sport, this is an age that you all can actually play. People might tell things, don't stop playing. Like if you all love to play cricket, at least go to your, at least.
The Mariam plays street
Yeah,
cricket sir.
Yeah, I know she does. Like, I think so, yeah.
Not does. I did, sir.
So y'all can like TikTok and everything, even when y'all become old, you can do those. But playing is something that you can enjoy at this time. Like even whether you are girls, doesn't matter. It's just a Sri Lankan culture that says girls should not play. If you're allowed to play cricket, go for it. If you're allowed to play football, go for it. As long as y'all are, everyone is within our limits, play. So don't yeah, that's because it will be like too late to regret. Because there's nothing wrong in playing. Yeah, if you love to play badminton, you all can play Zikra. Totally. Okay. So let us get back to this. The factors reflected by the demand curve. So guys, now we are going to move on to something much more important. Okay, cool. Now let's say this is, here we are going to put the price, here we are going to put the quantity. Let's say this is the demand curve. Okay. And maybe the price is like 20. And at a price of 20, maybe the quantity is 10. So the meaning of this is, if the price is 20, the customer is willing and able to buy how many units?
10.
10. And let's say the price becomes 15. Guys, before I put the next thing, generally, when the price becomes lower, if you are a customer, are you willing to buy more or willing to buy less?
More.
You're willing to buy more. So that is clearly being shown now. When the price becomes 15, it touches the demand curve here. And when it touches the demand curve here, now are you willing to buy more or less?
More, sir.
Maybe you're willing to buy 18 units. So first thing that is shown by the demand curve is, it reflects the changes in quantity demanded to a change in price. So do you see, when the price changes from 20 to 15, by using the curve, I can identify the change in quantity. For example, when the price is 20, what's the quantity?
10.
10. When the price is 15, what's the quantity?
18.
18. So do you see when the price changes from 20 to 15, quantity changes from 10 to 18?
Yes, sir.
The first thing that we can find out of the demand curve is the change in quantity due to a change in
Price.
price. Are we good?
Yes, sir.
This part is fine. The most important point is the two of the most important points is the second and the fourth one. So let's look at the second point. So I don't want to read it. Now, guys, the reason I'm explaining the second point now in detail, the reason I'm going to explain the second point in detail is in the latter part of this unit, we'll be studying about something called consumer surplus and elasticity. We'll be studying few concepts. So in order to study those concepts, it will be better if you all know this particular theory that I'm going to teach now. Now, I can explain it in one way. Again, demand shows the buyer's perspective or the seller's perspective.
Bias perspective.
Buyer's perspective. Because demand is the willingness and ability to buy or sell.
Buy.
But one thing I can definitely say is, at a price of 20, you are willing and able to buy
10 units.
At a price of 15, you are willing and able to buy
18
18
units.
units.
Hold on. At a price of 20, you are willing and able to buy 10. Now I'll ask you this question. I'll explain it in another way. So at a price of 20, you are willing and able to buy 10 because it touches the demand curve here. Another way that I can ask is, for 10 units, how much are you willing to pay? For 10 units, you are willing to pay 20, no? For 10 units, you are willing to pay 20 rupees. My question is, for 10 units, you are willing to pay 20. You are a customer. So guys, think, for 10 units, you're okay paying 20, no? By looking at this graph. If you're
Yes, sir.
okay paying 20, if you're okay with paying 20, will you be fine paying 19? Think, will you?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because definitely if you're okay with 20, you will be okay with anything cheaper, no? For 10 units, will you be okay paying 18?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because if you're okay paying 20, definitely you should be okay paying 18, no? Will you be okay paying 25?
No, sir.
Because for 10 units, you're okay to pay up to 20. Meaning 25, are you fine?
No, sir.
So another way we can explain this concept is, for 10 units, the maximum you are willing to pay is 20. Meaning anything less is fine, no? And anything more, is it fine?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So demand also shows the maximum price a customer is ready to pay. Now another number, okay. Now we told at 15, you are willing to buy 18. Okay, let's say. And the price is going to become 15. At the price of 15, you are willing and able to buy how many units?
18.
18. So I can say,
18.
when the price is 15, you are willing and able to buy 18. Another way that I can explain this is, for 18 units, what price are you ready to pay?
15.
15.
18, you are ready to pay 15. So my question, if you are okay paying 15, will you be okay paying 14?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Will you
sir.
be okay paying 13?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
definitely, no, if you're okay with 15, you're definitely okay with anything less, right?
Yes.
If you're okay
Yes,
with
sir.
15, you're okay with anything less. So you're okay with 15. So will you be okay paying 17?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
So do you understand, for 18 units, the maximum you're ready to pay is 15?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand? So just like that, at a price of 20, you are ready to buy 10. Another way I can explain it is, for 10 units, you are ready to pay how much?
20 rupees.
20. Are you ready to pay anything more than that?
No, sir.
No, sir.
If you're ready to pay 20, will you be ready to pay like 19, 18?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And just like that, okay, for 18, at a price of 15, you're ready to buy 18. You're willing and able to buy 18. For 18 units, what price are you ready to pay?
15.
15. If you're okay paying 15, will you be okay paying, like if you're okay paying 15, then are you okay paying 13 or 10?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
you love it. But will you be okay paying 17 or 18?
No, sir.
So that means for 8, you're willing to pay up to how much?
15.
15.
15.
So demand also shows the maximum price a customer is ready to pay. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So anything more than the demand curve, not fine. Anything less, you're fine. Okay. Are we good?
Yes, sir.
Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. All of us. Anyone who did not understand that? Demand also shows the maximum price. Because again, think of demand shows customer's perspective. So if we have the curve, think of a customer value. If you are a customer, will you be ready to pay more or less?
Less.
You will always be willing to pay less. So anything below the demand curve is fine, but anything more than the demand curve,
Not fine.
not fine. Okay? Right. Okay. So anything more than the demand curve is fine, but anything less, sorry, anything more, is it fine? If you're a customer, anything more?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Anything more is not fine. Anything less is
Fine.
fine. So demand curve
Fine.
is the maximum price you are ready to pay. Okay. This definition is a definition that's many people don't learn that, but in my point of view, it's always good if you know if you know the logic behind it. Like just knowing the demand curve, just finding okay at this price, the quantity is good. But I also want the other expression. Okay, that means for this quantity, for 5 units, you are ready to pay 10. So definitely, if you are ready to pay 10, will you be ready to pay 9 or 8? If you're okay paying 10, you are ready to pay 9 or 8, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But if you are ready to pay 10, will you be ready to pay 11 or 12?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
Definitely, you know. Understood?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Cool. You guys are like parrots today. The next thing that we have to know is demand curve can show one more thing, very important. Okay, let's say this is the demand curve. And let's say this is the price. So price is 10, sorry, price was 20. And the quantity was 10. Quantity demanded is 10. Now guys, if I ask you, what price are people going to pay now?
20, sir.
20. And at 20, how many units are you going to buy?
10 units.
Yes, sir.
So if I ask you, okay, the price is 20 and you're going to buy 10. So what is the total amount you're going to spend?
200.
200, no? For example, if I say this pen is 20, that means what is the price of the pen?
20.
20.
20.
And let's say I'm going to buy, we are going to buy 10 pens. So one pen is 20. One pen is 20 and I'm going to buy 10 pen. So ultimately, how much am I going to spend? 200, no? So do you see the total expenditure is the price into quantity?
Yes, sir.
So I know at a price of 20, quantity is 10. Therefore, total expenditure is
200.
200. The total expenditure is simply this square. Understood? Now, if I say the price is 15, what was the quantity?
80.
18, sir.
18. So when the price is 15, the quantity is 18. So I know When the price becomes 15, the quantity becomes 18. That means I'm going to pay 15 rupees. Is it only for 1 unit? I'm going to
No,
pay
sir.
15 rupees for 1 unit. No, I'm going to pay 15 rupees for how many units?
18 units.
18. So my total expenditure is therefore price into quantity, which is 15 into 18. I'm bad with maths. I think it's 270, no?
270.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
270. Thank you. So now the total expenditure is this area, this box. Understood?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So using the demand curve, we can always find the total expenditure of customer. So if the price is P naught and the quantity is Q naught, the total expenditure is P naught into Q naught. Okay.
Okay, sir.
You can remember this, and I used to add one more part. Total expenditure is also equal to something called total revenue. That is also price into quantity. Okay. Sorry. I'll tell you why. Now let's say I'm going to buy, the price of 1 pen is 20. Let's say I'm going to buy 10 pen. Yeah. So what's the total I'm going to spend? Total expenditure?
200.
200. So for me, it is for us, we are the customers, for us, it is an expenditure. But on the other hand, I am spending 200 to buy the pen. No. So how much I'm spending. So the stationery owner, he will earn 200. No.
Yes, sir.
So my expenditure is the shop person's income. No.
Yes, sir.
Therefore, remember, total expenditure of customers is simply the total revenue of sellers. Okay. So therefore, total expenditure and total revenue are the same thing. Both are price into quantity. Are we good?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any doubts?
No doubt, sir.
Yes.
All
All of
clear.
us.
Yeah.
Great, good stuff. So a quick recap on the four things that's shown by the demand. A quick recap. First thing that is shown by the demand is demand curve. Okay, price, quantity. We know that if the price is P naught, quantity is Q naught. And if the price falls to P1, is the quantity still the same?
No, sir.
No,
Quantity
sir.
increases, no?
Yes, sir.
The first thing that is shown by the demand curve is the change in quantity due to a change in
Price.
price. So
Price.
when the price changes, I always can find the new quantity using the demand curve. So that's the first thing. The other thing is, I know that at a price of P naught, what's the quantity you're ready to buy?
Q naught.
Q naught. So let's say price is again 10 and let's say quantity is 50. So what it means by this is that when the price is 10, you are willing to buy 50. Another way I can explain is for 50 units, what price are you ready to pay?
10.
10. If you are ready to pay 10, if you're okay paying 10, will you be okay paying 9 or 8?
Yes, sir.
If you're okay paying 10, will you be willing to pay 11 or 12?
No, sir.
No. That means 10 is the maximum price you're ready to pay, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That means anything less than the curve is fine, no?
Yes, sir.
So demand also shows the maximum price a customer is ready to pay. Okay. And the other thing is it also shows the total expenditure of the customers, because I know if the price is P naught, you buy Q naught. Meaning when the price is 10, you buy
50.
50. So at a price of 10, you buy 50. So what's the total amount you spend?
500.
500. So that is this area, no? So yeah. And if I'm going to spend 500, someone is earning 500, no?
Yes, sir.
one person expenditures and other person's
Revenue.
revenue. Are we good?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And guys, another one question. Do you all revise? Be honest.
Yes, sir.
And I would suggest guys, if you all find it hard to revise, you all can like from our class, you can choose a like proper study buddy. Study buddy can never choose 5 or 6 people to study. Group studies. If you want to do group, 2 people or maximum 3 per group is enough. Okay. So what you can say is, okay, I'm gonna study this part. I'm gonna study about demand. I'm gonna study about the first 2 slides. You study the next 2 slides. So let's have a discussion and let's do it. When you're going to add 5 or 6 people, what's going to happen is some people would not study anything. They will just come and wait. They will enjoy, while the ones who studied, you can't do it. So if you guys, I would prefer if you guys study every day, because we meet only once a week. The remaining 6 days, if you all like, we might study everything today, but if you are not catching up for the remaining 6 days, definitely you're going to forget. Like even I don't remember what I taught last week, guys. Yeah. So that's why I say group studies. I'm not someone who encourages group study, but I would encourage something like a study buddy. Study buddy can be just one friend. You're going to share it and you're going to study. So
who was your study buddy in school?
I honestly did not have a study buddy. No.
Adil?
No, we didn't. It's like none of us were group study people. None of us. Like everyone, we were listeners in school. Like we don't miss school. Like when if we had 100% attendance, and we just make sure that we are in school. So we there was nothing to study additionally. Like we stay in school and we just listen. That's it. So
Yeah,
make sure
your
that
batch was really competitive.
was there. Competition was there. Competition is very helpful.
Appe ninga thane first.
No, but best part was the other kids used to motivate a lot. Like we had zero jealousy also. So they used to motivate each other and everyone used to perform well. So that was really good.
I remember one boy in your grade had 85 average and still 15th or 18th.
Really? Should be.
Passing batch, Passindus class.
That was science. Yes, Sulaiman. I'm from Lyceum. So yeah, I remember like that class was very competitive. But it was always there. Science was always into competition. They were always into ranking. Science students. Commerce, we didn't have that. Like we used to come to school. All of us used to study, and we managed to like everyone managed to get through. Like everyone motivates each other. And whenever anyone has a doubt, even if I have a doubt, or if anyone has a doubt, when we ask each other, not during exams, everyone used to clear each other's doubts. So if that part is there, I'm pretty sure all of us can perform. And that is something superb, guys. If you have a doubt, when you ask your friend, they will always try to help you. And before they help you, now definitely, guys, if I want to help you, I will make sure that I don't want to cheat, right? I just want to make sure that I help you with the right knowledge, So when you guys ask a tough question from each other, for example, if Aman asks a question for Mariam, before Mariam tells Amana, she will study and only teach you. So that will make sure that the other person also studies. So that is something that we encourage. And even on the group, we always encourage, if you have a doubt, don't send it on a private message, put it on the group. So that everyone is motivated to study and come up with an answer. So do that, guys. Don't delay it. Encourage each other. So that would be like commended. I mean, like good would strike you at any time. Like you did something good, so definitely it's going to be beneficial for everyone in overall. Okay. So yeah. So every day at least 15 minutes. I'm not asking 2 hours. It is not reasonable. 15 minutes a day is perfect. Okay, 15 minutes a day is perfect. Lukman, what do you want? Okay. Hari. So guys, let's move on to the next part. And after I explain a little bit, we can finish it off. I don't want to put too much of things in your head today. The factors affecting demand. So guys, we told that price is definitely a factor that affects the amount you're going to buy. Because generally, when the price becomes lower, when the product becomes cheaper, will you be willing to buy more or less? You're willing to buy
More.
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 So price is definitely a factor that affects quantity. But in reality, price is not the only factor. There are many other factors that would affect the quantity. So first factor is the price, the main factor. But there are other factors also, something called price of related goods. We'll be looking at it one by one. Another factor is consumer income, the consumer taste, future expectation, other factors, number of buyers. Okay, I put other factors again. So there are many factors that will affect the quantity. Right now, we are going to look at the main factor, the price of the product. But for now, I want you all to remember, you don't have to buy hard, just remember, when the price of the good changes, it results in something called a movement along the demand curve. We also say there is a change in quantity demanded. So we know that there are many factors that affects demand. One factor that definitely affects demand is the price of the good. So we know that if the price goes up, when the product becomes expensive, quantity will fall. When the price comes down, when the products become cheaper, quantity will rise. So price is definitely a factor that affects demand. When price changes, it results in something called a movement along the demand curve, which we also use the term change in quantity demanded. On the other hand, whenever other factors change, all the other factors, for example, whenever price of related good changes, whenever income changes, whenever taste changes, whenever expectation changes, whenever any other factors change, it will result in a shift of the demand curve. We also say it results in a change in demand. If you're going to ask what this is, wait for it. We'll be looking at it one by one. So don't complicate yourself. I just put it here so that we can note it down. There are many factors that affects demand, meaning there are many factors that will affect the quantity you're going to buy. One is definitely the price of the product. Like when the price goes up, when it becomes expensive, quantity will fall. When the price comes down, when it becomes cheaper, quantity will rise. When price changes, it results in something called a movement along the demand curve. And whenever there's a movement along the demand curve, we say there's a change in quantity demanded. Whenever all the other factors change, other than price, whenever any other factors change, it results in a shift of the demand curve. Whenever there's a shift, there's a change in demand and not a change in quantity demanded. So let us see what it is. A movement along the demand curve is or a change in quantity demanded occurs if the price of the good changes. A change in any other factors would result in a shift of the demand curve, a change in demand. Okay, so guys, let's look at, I'll be done with this page. Let's be done with this page. Okay. Now let's say, I'm going to draw the demand curve for a product. We put price on the y-axis and the quantity of the x-axis, and let's say I'm going to draw the demand curve. Okay. Let's say price is P1. At P1, it touches the demand curve at point A, and the quantity is Q1. So if I ask you, at a price of P1, what's the quantity people are willing and able to buy?
Q1.
Q1. Let us say the price of the good is going to increase. Let's say the price is going to go up to P2, sorry. When the price is P2, does it touch the same point now?
No, sir.
It touches at point B. And at point B, do you see quantity becomes Q2?
Yes, sir.
So price has gone up. And what has happened to the quantity demanded? It has fallen. What we say is, when price was P1, we were at point A. When price was P1, we were at point A. When the price is P2, we are at point B. When the price increases, you are still on the same curve, meaning it is still on the same line. No? Do you see we are still on the same line? Even
Yes,
though we are
sir.
on the same line, are we still on the same point?
No, sir, we are not.
So, we have moved from what point to what?
From A to B.
A to B. This is called a movement along the demand curve. So when the price has gone up from P1 to P2, when the price has gone up, the quantity demanded has fallen. All you have to know is we are still on the same curve. We are still on the same line, but on a different point. We have moved from point A to point B. This is called a movement along the demand curve. Movement along the demand, movement means being on the same curve, but moving to a new point. Okay. So we have moved from point A to point B, and what has happened to the quantity? Quantity has fallen. Very important thing to know is price has gone up. Quantity has fallen. Some people say because price has gone up, demand has fallen. This is totally wrong. Some people might ask, okay, price has gone up, demand has actually fallen, right? It has fallen from Q1 to Q2, no? But whenever there is a movement means whenever we are on the same curve, you can never use the term fall in demand. We always use the term when price has gone up, there's a fall in quantity demanded. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So here price has gone up. What has happened to the quantity? It has changed from Q1 to Q2. Earlier we were at point A, now we are at point B. This is called a movement, moving from point A to point B. Whenever there's a movement, it is never a change in demand. It is always a change in quantity demanded. So, okay, if you're going to read it, price of the good increases from P1 to P2. Understood?
Yes,
Because
sir.
of that, quantity demanded has fallen from Q1 to Q2. I can't say demand has fallen from Q1 to Q2. I'm wrong. Even if you put that, even if you say demand has fallen, it is wrong. Is it demand has fallen or is it quantity demanded has fallen? Quantity demanded. This makes a movement along the demand curve from A to B. We have moved from A to B. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Again, movement means we are on the same curve, but on a different point. I was at A, now I'm at B. And guys, this particular movement is also called as a contraction in demand. Guys, what does contraction mean? Contraction means an increase or decrease. Contraction.
Increase.
Decrease.
Contraction means a decrease. The contraction in demand means a decrease in quantity demanded. And when will the quantity demanded fall? When the price
Increases.
increases. I'll do the next one and then we can do a quick recap and finish it off. Okay, let's say, I know you guys are getting tired now. Sorry. Okay, let's say price is P1. So when the price is P1, it touches the demand curve at point A. Quantity is Q1. Okay. Now let's say price is going to fall to P2. When the price is P2, are we still on the same point? Are we still at point A now? Now we are moving to point B. Quantity becomes Q2. So do you see when the price falls, quantity demanded has increased?
Yeah. Yes.
We moved from point A to point B.
B.
We are still on the same line. We are still on the same line, but we are moved from point A to point
B.
B. So here what I can say is the price has fallen. The quantity demanded has increased. Again, I cannot say demand has increased. I am wrong. Whenever there's a movement, we don't use the term demand, we use the term
Quantity
quantity
demand.
demanded. So price has fallen. The quantity demanded has increased from Q1 to
Q2.
Q2. So price of the good has reduced from P1 to P2. Therefore, quantity demanded, quantity demanded of the good has increased from Q1 to Q2. This makes a movement along the demand curve from point A to point B. Again, movement means we are still on the same curve, but on a different point. We are moved from point A to point B. And this particular movement is called as an extension in demand, or some people use the term expansion in demand. What does extension mean? Increase or decrease?
Increase.
Increase. So extension in demand means increase in quantity demanded. And when will quantity demand increase if the price
False.
falls? So guys, a quick recap on what I did right now. There are many factors that affects demand. The main factor that we're looking was the price of the good. When the price of the good change, hold on. Okay. When the price of the good changes, it results in a movement along demand curve. So the quantity can increase or decrease. Can I say demand has increased or decreased, or should I use the term quantity demanded has increased or decreased?
Quantity demand.
Quantity demand. So quantity demanded has changed, not demand. For example, if this is the demand curve, let's say price is P naught, the quantity will be Q naught. We are at point A. Let's say price is going to fall to let's say price is going to fall to P1. Now it touches the demand curve at point B. Now the quantity is Q1. So do you see price has fallen? Quantity demanded has increased. And we are moved from point A to point
B.
B.
So we are moved from point A to point B. And here quantity, whenever quantity demanded increases, you can also use the term extension in demand. Same way, same thing. Let's say price goes up from P1 to P naught. Okay, think, when the price is P1, what point are we at?
B.
At point B. When the price is P naught, we are at point
A.
A. So when price goes up from P1 to P naught, we move from B to A. Meaning quantity demanded falls from Q1 to
Q naught.
Q naught. If the quantity demanded falls, we also use the term contraction in
Demand.
demand. So guys, this thing we'll be doing next week also, but up to now, are you okay?
Yes, sir.
Anyone who did not understand any part of demand up to now? Just be honest, guys. Are you okay or not
Yeah.
okay?
So if
Yes,
you don't
yes,
mind, can you show me the table, the previous page?
This one.
Yeah.
What's the doubt in this?
No, I want to take a screenshot. That's why.
Okay.
I'm
but
done.
If you want, I'll send the recording also.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So I hope all of us are good, no?
Yes.
Anyone who did not understand any part, please let me know now. Don't send it on a chat. Let me know now, please. Okay, you guys are silent. Silent is acceptance. So I think you're fine. So let's meet up next week on Tuesday.
Inshallah, sir.
Inshallah. So stay safe, study hard, make sure that you study every day, and let's catch up. Don't give up.